Hello, Frugal Force. Once again, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty. And today I'm going to do something a little interesting here. At least it's interesting to me. If you recall, I did a review of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, a few issues ago. All right. In that review, I flamed that issue. That issue was horrid. It really was. It was not a good comic book, and I would not have recommended reading Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man at all. With that said, it comes with great joy, believe it or not, because once again, I don't want Marvel to fail. I recommend reading Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, with a book that I thought was doomed. By the time it starts getting to issue 6, this series starts rolling. It rolls well. So let's talk about this issue 6. Look at the very cover. You see an angry J. Jonah Jameson and a Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man sitting together at a dinner table. Okay? So we're going to jump right into that issue, but before we do, once again, this is by Chip Zdarsky for the writing, okay? And the artist is Michael Walsh. Now, this is a different artist which was doing it before, and I have to say, I really like Michael Walsh's art on this. It's nothing super fancy or anything, but it's just, I don't know, for the tone of this issue, I think it works really good. All right, so we start right at the very beginning of this issue, and we have lasagna getting pulled out by J. Jonah Jameson while he's getting ready to talk to Spider-Man. And Jonah right now in this period of his life is writing a blog, and anyway he gets called out for having his recorder, because that's what reporters do, and he turns that off because they're going to have a talk. He goes, "Oh, so are you ready?" All right, and so they're going to get to talking, and then we move right in and so let's get started. And we're at this little coffee dinner table there, and they're first talking about a little bit about the terms of what's going to happen here. The deal is, Jonah says, "You give me an hour for a no-holds-barred J. Jonah Jameson exclusive interview, and I'll tell you what I know. And I promise not write about you for 1 year. On a highly successful blog that's shaking up the industry in the heartsandmenaces.com. So in other words, he's not going to write any more things about him on his blog temporarily. And, Peter thinks it's a waste of time. So, they're talking about hammering this out. And I will say, you turn to the next page and Jameson's like, "Hey, calm down, you bug-brained freak." So even while he's trying to get him calmed down, they have this banter of, back and forth, which is interesting, which is quite fitting between the two. And I will say, that's one thing about this comic, that characters are in character. This whole issue is not an action-packed issue. It's a talking issue. And I have nothing against that. When the talking is in character and it's right. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, and I'm going to be a little bit more retrospective and compare it to the Amazing Spider-Man. And Peter tells him he'll never calm down, and then Jonah's like, "I'll tell you what you want to know, but you have to honor our deal." And so Peter sits down, they're like, "Okay, fine." And he's almost got like this pouting way that he's sitting, like a kid would pout when they don't really want to be there, And once again, it's showing that nature of the character. And so Jonah is talking to him and giving him the information, and in between there's some jokes, things. I don't want to give everything away on this. All right, and one point Jonah says, but my job was to verify that the info is real. So we started working on how this could have happened in the first place, and the source told us the majority of the information was of a technical nature. So where did S.H.I.E.L.D. get that? What was the easiest, most logical place? And the reason I read that little part is because Peter afterwards, Spider-Man says, "I don't know, some sort of official handbook." Now, come on. I've been bagging on Zdarsky for not good quips and stuff, but that one was actually pretty funny, especially from a guy that has some of these official handbooks. And Jonah says, "Unbelievable jokes, even when you've asked me for help." And that's Peter Parker. He has that way to throwing people off of their game with the quips. And so anyway, he goes on to tell him about the Tinkerer and how the Tinkerer has a brother, and he's been working with S.H.I.E.L.D. And then they put together, you see Peter Parker putting the pieces together. Wait, his lab was just destroyed by his brother? And Jonah's like, "And you didn't think anything was weird about that?" And Peter's like, "Well, I've never had a brother, And so Jonah's, saying, "Isn't this obvious, you idiot?" And, that's the kind of tone Jonah would have to him. And then Peter's like, "Oh my gosh, how could I miss this?" And so far this issue is pretty good, and the characters are in character, but here is where it really starts to heat up. Okay, it starts getting a little more personal. Okay, and so Peter's honoring the deal, and here's where it gets interesting. They get a closed-in shot of them, and Jonah says, okay, who are you? Because he gave Peter information. Now it's time for him to be able to ask Peter the questions. He's like, nice try. Why do you do this? And here's where it gets great. Running around in your tight costume, mask, menacing us people. And then Peter starts to tell him why he does that. And all while he's doing this is hitting the heartstrings and of J. Jonah Jameson, as well as he sees in his mind, he's recalling his dead wife and holding her the moments before her passing. He says, but you're a clown. You endanger as many people as you save. I was there from the beginning. I know what you are, amazing Spider-Man. And Peter's like, really? And J. Jonah Jameson even mentions he's seen him as a performer, and he appreciated that. He says, you should have stayed a TV clown, but you chose to be a jokey vigilante, answerable to no one for kicks, some cheesy costume, and that mask. I wear a mask, so that's sort of fun there. The mask of a coward, Jonah says. And so you see there's something into this mask thing that really kirks Jonah. Jonah has something against anonymity. Matter of fact, ASM has a writer that has something against people with anonymity, right? Because they're all pixels. And Peter says, that's not fair. I wear this mask to protect my loved ones if my identity ever got out. Now think about that. It's almost like Zdarsky was reading what people right now on social media are thinking between Dan Slott and the community, and just sort of backhands Dan Slott with this. I'm sure that wasn't the intention. I mean, if it was, it's brilliant, but I'm sure it wasn't. It was just sort of like, hey, you've got to protect people. And it's giving the two sides of this thought and how it worked. And Jonah was like, hogwash, cops don't wear masks, and things like that. He says, you wear it so you don't have to answer to anyone. Wow, that sounds like a Dan Slott kind of thing right there, doesn't it? Amazing how much similar they are. But you have to answer to me, J. Jonah Jameson, and the city I love. I keep you in line. Now here it gets even better. My blog keeps you... And Peter's like, wait a minute, hold up. What have you done in the past? And, you think about the Scorpion, his connections with the Scorpion and the consequences with that, as well as other villains. He's like, really? Really? You're keeping him in line? Think about the hypocrisy there. How much danger J. Jonah Jameson has put people. Can you catch a drift there? As I said, it's almost like he's got his finger right now, Zdarsky does, on the pulse of social media, on the pulse of it, of what's going on with Dan Slott. J. Jonah Jameson yells, by holding you accountable by taking off that, and then it has some profanity marks there, mask. So by taking off that mask, it makes you accountable, right? And Peter says, what? Does it even matter to you? And Jonah says, I'm not the one being interviewed, you cretin. And Peter says, I don't care. This thing between us has gone on long enough. Jonah, why of everything in the world is this your mission? And that's a good question. Why is this your mission? Why are you so obsessed with this? Same thing with like Dan Slott. Why are you so obsessed with everybody that you disagree with? Why do they all have to be reduced to pixels? Why do you have something against anonymity? What is bothering you? What happened to you? I mean, this is really amazing correlation. So anyway, you get this nice scene of J. Jonah Jameson thinking, and he goes, years ago, decades really, I was mugged. I was going to fight back, but the girl I was dating at the time said not to. She was right, but still, I sure would have liked to. And he's thinking once again back to holding his wife in her last moments. He wore a mask. I always remember what was going through my head seeing that. You coward. And so he's got this connection to that mask that's bringing him back. So there's something that he just can't get past. And I implore everybody to learn something. Sometimes you can get a nugget from a comic book. There's things in everybody's past. And I believe in forgiveness. Now, I don't mean forgive and forget necessarily. You should remember that and learn from that. But if you forgive something, you bury it. You dig that hole and you bury it. That means you've accepted it. You've moved on. You are no longer letting it hurt you. You are no longer going to let it impact you. Forgiveness is a powerful thing. And that's something that needs to be done. It's something we need to help grant each other. And it's something people need to embrace. And when you can't, it burns in you. It gets deeper and darker rooted in you. And it comes out. And I think we're seeing this in the comic culture right now. You know, especially with people like Dan Slott. I really hope he finds what he's looking for. I hope that maybe he read this issue. I hope so, and maybe he'll get something from it. So anyway, we go back to J. Jonah Jameson and said, I used to think maybe I was jealous of you, deep down. I sometimes thought about how you'd inspire kids to do what you do, leading them to their deaths, because, you know, somebody leads others and inspires other people, and you don't like how he's inspiring them. Once again, think about that metaphor there. There's your wanton destruction of property, all while you crack wise. So many reasons to hate you, but really, it's this. That mask. That cowardly mask. You know, that anonymity part again. You could have joined the police, the army, helped people, show true courage and selflessness, and part of an institution. And then Peter mentions, you know, Spider-Man, you're kidding me, right? He says, yeah, when you became mayor, what was the first thing you did? You formed an anti-Spider-Man task force. You could have done anything, helped anyone, and you chose to throw away money on getting me. Does that sound familiar? All this time, a particular comic book writer could be taking this time promoting his work. If he was so passionate about the book of Silver Surfer, which he is when he talks about, why didn't he promote it more? But he's so bent on taking his time and his platform to deplatform and villainize others that he's taking away his and losing what makes his. He's reached his pinnacle goal. He's always wanted to write Spider-Man. Why is he not loving it? So anyway, we bounce back to Peter. It says, talking to you is like talking to a brick wall with a bad mustache. Or in this case, I think a guy with a beard. Right? And J. Jonah James says, I did accept that. You were a hero. And then what did you do? You blackmailed me into giving you city property. He's like, wait a minute, that was Doc Ock in my body, Peter's telling. And then Jonah was like, see, even when you're with your mask, you can't take responsibility for your actions. You don't know the first thing about responsibility. And then you get this nice little panel of Peter looking at him. And it's just like you could see it on his face, like, are you freaking kidding me? He sits down and laughs, and you just see him laughing. Oh my gosh. I wish that were true, Jonah Jameson. I really do. Life would be so much easier. Because telling a guy that he doesn't have any responsibility when he has nothing but responsibility is absolutely awesome. Once again, we are really seeing a great banter between two characters that have been from the beginning of Spider-Man against each other. I haven't seen these two written together like this as good as since Zdarsky, JMS, when he did Aunt May. Okay? And see, then that gets that laughing gets Jonah mad. You're laughing. Responsibility, mind control, clones, it's all a joke to you. Whoa, Jonah, Peter says, I joke to put people at ease, to counter the mask I need to wear. I can juggle cars. That's terrifying for others, and for me. This life's scary and sad, and I have to joke, because what's the alternative? And I agree, sometimes we have to make a little bit light of a situation when it gets too tense. You know, and it's still Jonah's calling him a coward. And Peter's like, I get it. I help people. You help no one. You're tiny. You're worthless. It's just that simple. You've wasted your life. You've got nothing except your stupid vendetta against me. And then Jonah, you can see, took that to heart. You could just see it in the picture and then in the flashback of him once again holding his wife in her last minutes. And I want to make that another point. Could the anger be because somebody felt they failed, because not everybody loves and embraces their run when they had and got their ideal dream job? Maybe he's deep down really hurt. Something a bit think about that. I guess just recently on Twitter, the Nerd Wonder offered Dan Slott a virtual hug, and she said he blocked her for it. Why? That virtual hug might have been with a little breath of fresh air. Like, you know what? This person might not like my book, but you know what? They're willing to move past that and give me a virtual hug over it. Are you so hurt that you can't embrace things? This comic, I hope Dan Slott read this. And then Peter says, Jonah, I didn't mean, because you could tell he's just upset. Jonah's like, don't you think I know that I have nothing that I've lost it all. And then you get a flashback showing about how he's lost his wife, his wife Marla, and about, how he had to go through it again with the clone saga. He said, my father is dead. My daughter is dead. The bugle, the only thing worth a darn in this world, has rejected me. My wife is dead. And he repeats that, my wife is dead. And that's when Peter gets another touching moment. You see Jonah there crying and on his knees at his lowest point. Now this is key. When an adversary has the opponent on their lowest point, this is the time they can crush them. They can devastate them. But a person of true character, a person of kindness, can show forgiveness. And that's what Peter does. He says, please. And Jonah says, interview's over. I've got nothing left in my life now. You win. Peter's like, Jonah, and Jonah's like, get out. And Peter says, no, I. And once again, Jonah's, get out, please. And you can tell it's just, he's at his breaking point. He's done. He's devastated. Peter says, I'm tired of this game. It's gone on too long, and you're your family. You think nobody cares about you? But I do. I care. You think you're alone? And then he does it. He pulls off his mask to Jonah. And we get a full page. And he says, you're not. Telling him he's not alone. So you have it. Peter reveals himself to J. Jonah Jameson. And in this whole dialogue has been nothing but heart-filled. And then Jonah says, Parker? Is this some sort of joke? In a question form, no longer angry. He just can't believe it. He's baffled. And Peter says, no joke, JJ. Now you know. My Aunt May. I could never. And he's like, wait, you're Spider? Yes, Jonah. I'm Spider-Man. It was my Uncle Ben that I let die back when I was the Amazing Spider-Man. He's why I do this. He was. Now, this part is great. This is another part I think Dan Slott, Amazing Spider-Man writer, really needs to understand and fails and misses. And I can't believe Chip Zdarsky got it. With as crappy as he started, he's got it. I hope this continues. And in the next issue after this, by the way, is very good too. I recommend getting it. He says, he was. Now I do it because it's right. I'm begging you now, Jonah, to look past the mask and see the man. The man you've known all these years who stood with you when your father married my aunt. And when we've gone through so much together. Look past the mask. Marvel needs a whole lesson on this. It's not the mask that makes the character. It's not the suit that makes the character. I know you're using it for a marketing ploy. It's not the flesh color. It's not the religion. It's the person inside it. It's their personal character. What makes them great? And I tell you, reading this issue was awesome. He then looks, though, Peter does, at the computer in J. Jonah Jameson's desk there. It says, I told you I do this to save lives. And if telling you this, breaking this cycle helps save yours, and then he notices that computer. Did you tell the world that I'd be here tonight? And you see it on the computer that he's going to. He's like, oh, crap, because I was promoting the interviews. Peter's like, unbelievable. And then a knock at the door. Mr. Jameson, this is the FBI. We just want to talk. And Peter's like, oh, no, I have to get out of here. He's like, remember, I'm trusting you with this. And he pops out, and the FBI comes in there. And we turn to the next page. Peter's like, oh, crap, this is not good. Man, I don't know now what came over me. I've never seen JJ like this before. He seems so broken. I just wanted him to feel like he didn't have to hate anymore. Once again, that's forgiveness and care about somebody. Have to deal with him later. For now, I better check on Teresa. If agents are coming to Jameson's place, they're surely coming to Peter Parker's since he's employed Spider-Man. So remember that. So Peter Parker's employed Spider-Man, so he's going to come at him too. And if they bust in like they did in Jonah's, I better not have the Spidey stuff in here, at this time. So he has to ditch that. And so then they show him getting in this building, and yes, we do. We see the FBI there says, give us the go-ahead, and we'll take in Parker. So now they're going to rush in Parker. You see him dropping down on the roof, and it says, next issue, Peter Parker, most wanted. And I will tell you, definitely get that next issue. It's good as well. So that was said, I want to do a couple things. As I said, I've bashed Chip Zdarsky in his run. I tell you, it is heating up. Go back. If you have not, get issue 6, probably even 5 might be all right to get, but I think 6 is probably a good start, and start reading from there. Issue 6 was fantastic. This is the best Spider-Man that I have read in years. I don't think I've seen anything even remotely close to character in Dan Slott's run of Spider-Man. I can't believe it came from Chip Zdarsky. I don't know what happened. Did he get hit? Did he hire somebody to write this? I really don't know, but I swear he knocked it out of the park on this one. And I believe in giving credit when credit's due, even if it's putting a shoe in my mouth, because before I was like, don't touch Chip Zdarsky's Spider-Man, it's crap. This is awesome. So if you have not, check it out. For at least starting from issue 6, and then definitely I think you're going to enjoy issue 7 too. I know I did. This is definitely a hit. This is Peter Parker wrote correctly. This is Peter Parker and cast so far from what we've seen in this issue in character. All right, guys, that's my views. I know it's not yours. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I would love to hear it if you've read this and this has made you go, wow, this was Chip Zdarsky. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit like and subscribe and hit that notifications bell so that you also get notified of my videos. I do not monetize on YouTube because I don't like how they treat people. So just so you know that, if you want to help me financially, you can go over to my VidMe account, Captain Frugal, and you can subscribe for as little as $1 a month, or you can even give a tip. Also, I have a website, thehenchmenslounge.com, that I participate on and putting in articles. And keep a lookout, because pretty soon I'm probably going to be launching a Patreon. So if you do enjoy my work and want to help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, until next time, keep it frugal.